And let's get the slideshow up. Okay. Can you see it, Louise?
Perfect.
Excellent.
Yes, I can. Thank you. Looks good.
Okay. Then I will get started. So thank you again, everyone, for attending this You Belong at Your Library, serving the LGBTQIA community in your libraries and beyond. Like Louise said, I'm Jessica Jupitus. I am now the Downtown Libraries Manager. I added 2 more to the Central Library for the Sacramento Public Library, and you can see my email address up there. So if you have any questions that don't get answered in this session, or you think of something later, or you just want to talk more, please do feel free to email me at jjupitus@saclibrary.org, and that will also be on the final slide, so you will be able to see it again. So with that, let's get started. It's a big day, and I'm really excited to be able to talk to you folks today and for taking some time out of your day. So the most important thing for serving the LGBTQ community, or what I generally default to is just calling the queer community, is be approachable. So you can see the photo on the left there is my niece Lana, who just looks absolutely thrilled about whatever's happening. But that's what you need to do. You need to smile. You need to say hello. You need to make eye contact. You need to do whatever it is. And you work in libraries. You know what it means when somebody walks in and kind of what interaction they're looking for. Sometimes eye contact and a nod is exactly the right thing. Sometimes a smile, sometimes a hello, sometimes can I help you? It's not going to be the same for everyone. If you are queer friendly, put a rainbow sticker on your badge. So that's the middle picture there. You can see that's my name tag from like 3 libraries ago. I have worked in 7 different libraries in the 8 years that I've been with Sacramento Public Library. So I've gotten around. But people who are on the gender spectrum will notice that rainbow, and it will mean a lot. Other people will just think you're festive or Hawaiian, which are lovely things. But the rainbow goes a long way to being a quick identifier to be able to find people who support you. It means a lot. And then offer your pronouns. I'm Jessica, and I prefer she, her. This is part of being visible. So you can see those stickers, so by non-Newtonian gender fluid on storenvy.com, but they are a variety of stickers that have different gender demarcations on there. So be visible, share that information, offer a greeting or a supportive comment. Say something, you know, hey, it's nice to see you in here. I've loved that book. You know, what else have you read on that topic? Or did you know we have this thing available? Whatever it is. Stop hate speech when you hear it. So one of the things that I used to say when I worked in the Vegas libraries is, you know, kids would be arguing in the library and say, oh man, that's so gay. And my response was, unless you mean that something is incredibly fabulous, don't use the word gay to describe things, okay? And, you know, approach people who are using negative terminology or who are being offensive or are hurting feelings openly. Let them know that, you know, they're welcome to be here, but they do need to change their language. So being approachable is the most important thing and the thing that every single person can do right now to welcome this community into their library. The next slide is when greeting others. And this is something that comes up pretty frequently. Avoid things like ladies, gentlemen, ma'am, sir, any gendered terminology. It's hard. It is really, really embedded in our language and in our community. Excuse me, ma'am, in the red shirt. You know, it inevitably happens, and somebody turns around and he happens to be a man with incredible long flowing hair and a gorgeous beard. You know, you don't need to use that. You can just say, excuse me, in the red shirt. Or the examples they have here, thanks friends, good morning folks, hi everyone, or the very southern y'all, you all. And this is a great slide from a British Columbian organization community. It's got the pronouns, and preferred names. So gender inclusive language, respecting and acknowledging all gender identities. Be mindful of your language. That's another thing you can change right now, is how you talk to people. People get very nervous about making a mistake. If you make an error, if you misgender someone, if you use a name they don't like, whatever else, apologize. one time, "Oh, I'm sorry," and move on. If you continue with the apology, it's worse for everyone involved. And I'm sure you've had an experience like that where something happens, there's an accident, and you'd really like to forget about it, and the person just keeps apologizing or going on. Same thing happens here. You know, if you misgender someone, you say, "Excuse me, sir," and they turn around and they say, "I'm a woman," you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, how can I help you?" Or you say whatever it was you needed to say to them or whatever else. Share your pronouns as appropriate. So if they say, "I prefer the they pronouns," you say, "Great, my name is Jessica and I prefer she, her. Thank you so much for letting me know," and move on from there. One of the things that we do for Sacramento Public Library is on our library cards we have a preferred name option. So as it stands, most people, when they have to get a library card, you need to check their ID, make sure that their name matches, and we need to have the government name on the card for collections, or if something doesn't come back, or for what other ever legal reasons we have. However, we have added a second name field in our library cards with the preferred name. So if somebody has a birth assigned gender or name that doesn't match their identity, we take care of it for them. And the question has come up, well, I don't really believe in that. And you know what, that's fine. You don't have to. They believe in that, and that's sufficient. So it's nothing to do with your feelings or your beliefs or anything, and everything to do with serving the patrons of your library. People come in who have different political views than I do, who have different opinions on things than I do. It doesn't matter. My job is to serve the people who come in, to serve everyone equally. So also curb your gossip. It's not up to you to out anybody, and it's definitely no one's business what's in anyone else's underpants. There's a book called The Symptoms of Being Human by Jeff Garvin. It's incredible, and in it, it's a teen fiction book. It's a quick read, and in it, you never determine the gender of the character. You never figure out who the character is. And it's really kind of an unsettling thing, even for somebody who is as immersed in the queer community as I am, because it's a big part of my life. But it doesn't matter for the character. And they talk about having a parent who's a politician, and they have to wear very gendered clothing at times, but it's never indicated whether that means a suit or a dress. So it's a really interesting examination on what it means to not identify with a gender and to not know the gender of a character. And I do strongly recommend it. Another good one is Every Day by David Levithan. The character A has no gender. So it's not just moves beyond or identifies as gender fluid. There is no gender to A. That's a whole other story, and David Levithan is a whole other love of mine. So as you can see here, we've got, oh, my slides are not clicking. There we go. Another great slide from the Transcending Gender Project. If you're out in public and you can't figure out a stranger's gender, follow these steps. Don't worry about it. So who are we talking about? What does this whole alphabet soup mean? And you can see the list under here. So lesbian, female identified, attracted to female identified. Gay, male identified, attracted to male identified. Bisexuals is attracted to both genders. Pansexual also tends to fall there. Pansexual is pan all, so attracted to all genders, everyone on the spectrum. It's much more open. Transgender is the gender assigned at birth, does not match gender identity. Queer, which is kind of a catch-all term, it's attraction outside the gender binary. A lot of lesbian or gay men may identify as queer, feeling that that's a better fit. Sometimes the Q is also listed as questioning. Intersex is where reproductive anatomy does not fit with only a single gender, so that was previously also known as hermaphrodite. And then asexual or ace is not sexually attracted to anyone. Still can have a romantic relationships or other attractions, but is not sexually attracted. So these terms can vary. For example, transgender man could have been a lesbian previously, and now he's a heterosexual man with all of the different experiences that come along with that. And that's a conversation I've had at length, and It's a very interesting thing to consider because you've moved out of a community, a lesbian community, and into a heterosexual male community. And if you're passing, if people don't recognize or you're not out as being transgender, it can be a really scary thing for people. Last month, the first time I did this, April of 2016, the Merriam-Webster added new terms to the dictionary, including transphobia, non-binary, cis, cisgender, genderqueer, gender reassignment, and gender fluid. And if you're not familiar, cis is where the identity conforms with the sex at birth, so cisgendered versus transgendered. And the reason they came up with a word with cisgendered is so that it's not normal and transgendered or regular and transgendered, but that there are two terms of equal weight so that there's not one and that other that doesn't fit in. So here's I have a lot of borrowed slides, and you can see the websites for them on each of them, because I definitely don't want to take any credit. I did not make this. So the genderbread person is one that I really enjoy. And it talks about where identity, expression, biological sex, and orientation are and kind of where they fall along the spectrum. And like Louise said, this is going to be recorded, and I have shared the PowerPoint with her, so if you'd like to look at this, or if you just want to jot down the web address, and you can see it there. So the gender identity is how you think of yourself, how you identify. And the gender expression is how you demonstrate your gender. So, you know, how you feel and how you present can be very different. They can be very similar. You can choose as a bearded, masculine-presenting person to wear lipstick. Biological sex is what is actually there, what the chromosomes are, what the organs are, what the bulk of the hormones are in your body. And then sexual orientation, which is who you love, who you're attracted to, what they mean to you. And then the gender unicorn is another one. Again, I didn't design it, but it kind of goes over the same thing. And these are all ways just to present it. Not all of them are going to make sense to everyone, so hopefully at least one of them will make sense. And you can kind of go from there. So that's from the Trans Student Educational Resources. And again, all of these things are available online. There are plenty of them, so please do take a look through. Okay, so next step, make your space safe and welcoming. These are two very different things. So GLSEN, which is the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, has existed since 1990, and they have safe space kits that are designed for schools, but you can also order one if you're not a school library or if you're public or whatever else. The kit comes with a lot of materials that address bullying. That comes up, I think, less, I hope, less in libraries than in schools. I would truly like to believe that, but there are also there are always useful tips in there. And so you can see the GLSEN Safe Space sticker there. The second sticker is from the 40 to None Project, which is from the True Colors Fund. What their mission is they work to end homelessness among lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth, creating a world in which young people can be their true selves. Cyndi Lauper is one of the founders, which is quite frankly one of the gayest things I've ever heard. But you can sign up for their mailing lists and stay current on what is happening. So then what's the difference between safe and welcoming? Dramatic pause while I have a sip of tea. Safe means that all staff, all security, all volunteers, everyone who is regularly in that building has been trained in how to help someone if an issue arrives that's due to mistreatment as a result of their gender or sexuality. So it means that everyone in that building is there to help. That's different from welcoming. Not everything can be controlled, but you can ensure that all of your representatives have been trained and are up to snuff. So ways that you can do that. Contact a local gay or lesbian resource center, a gender health center, have someone come over and train with a Gender 101. Offer a Gender 101 yourself. Give a safe space to have that kind of conversation. Allow people to ask questions. Allow people to feel confident enough to be curious, to be ignorant. One of the most vulnerable things that you can do is to say, I don't know. And so it's a scary thing, and it's something that comes up in libraries all the time. Anybody who comes up to the desk asking for help is saying, I don't know a thing, can you help me? And so that kind of vulnerability can be scary, and people can lash out. So make sure that you do have that opportunity. Ensure also that you have adequate restroom facilities. If at all possible, make sure that there's a single stall bathroom with no gender sign on the door. Bathrooms are a huge challenge in the trans community and one of the hardest spots to keep safe. And this is not a surprise to you. I'm sure everybody has been connected with the news in the last year or so. People know what's going on. They know about the case that's going to the Supreme Court about restroom access. In the building that I work in, we've got 5 floors. We have restrooms on 4 of the floors. Only 2 of the restrooms are single stall, and they used to be a boys' room and a girls' room because they were in our kids' place. They've now been relabeled with the purple room and the yellow room. Because they are just one room, they don't need to have a gender on the door. If you can remove that, please do. Make sure that people know this is a restroom. It is for anyone. It is one person at a time. So ours have colors because they have a key card that you need to open it, so you have to match the correct key card to the correct door. But do try to have that available. I've been working really hard to try to make sure that we have enough access for people and that they don't have to ask to use a bathroom. But I definitely have met with some challenges here and plumbing codes and everything else. So be prepared for complaints. Ensure your staff allows patrons to use the bathroom that they need. If there's a man in the ladies' room, have a plan of what you're going to say. So a suggestion for that is ask if there was somebody harassing the person complaining. If somebody comes out and says, there's a man in the ladies' room, say, oh, I'm so sorry, were they harassing you? Or is there a situation that happened? Let them know that you're going to look into it, and don't assume anyone is wrong. Ultimately, we all have to go to the bathroom. It's just part of being a human being. I use the men's room personally anytime that there's a line for the women's, and that is not necessarily fair. I have an advantage being a female-bodied, female-presenting person in that way. We do have a gentleman who comes regularly into our library, and he is with his wife, who's in a wheelchair. He accompanies her into the women's room, and every single time we get a complaint. And I don't understand why, because he is clearly with a woman who needs his help. He's going into the restroom. He's not peeping under the stalls. He's not doing anything except helping a woman who needs help. But people do get upset and they do complain, and you need to be prepared for that. But if you can let people use the bathroom that best fits their needs, please do. Please be prepared to protect them, to advocate for them, to fight for them. Creeps come in all genders, and there's no genital detector on the bathroom door. So from Bitch Magazine contributor S.E. Smith, quote, to date, there have been no cases in which a transgender person has committed an assault in a bathroom. But 70% of trans people have experienced harassment and assault when trying to pee. So that's a really scary thing. Do what you can to create an atmosphere of acceptance. So here are some examples of restroom signs that you could use. Gender-neutral restroom, the bathroom is for everyone. All-gender restroom. We have the all-gender restroom on our downstairs bathrooms now in the kids area, and that seems to be working out pretty well for us. So scary stat slide. This is a really alarming thing. 30% of queer youth report at least one suicide attempt in the last year. More than 50% of trans youth have had at least one suicide attempt by the time that they're 20. Those are huge numbers. And you can see, you know, we're not going to go over this slide too long because it is really grim, but people who are on this queer spectrum, most of them, more than half for most of these, have had violence, have had discrimination, have not been treated by a doctor or healthcare provider, have been harassed, have been isolated from their families. So do what you can to create an atmosphere of acceptance. So how can I help? Keep your reaction understated. It's a big enough deal for the kid or the person who is sharing with you. So just be mellow about it. Be open to being educated. Let them know you don't know much about it, but you're willing to listen and learn. Ask for their preferred name or pronouns and offer yours. So my name is Jessica. I prefer she or her. What's your name? What would you like me to call you? Let them know it's okay to not use any pronouns, and do make an effort to use their name and only their name, no matter how awkward that may sound. And so that's something that has come up before. You can see it a lot in book reviews and other things where people ask, you know, Jonathan has been writing for 30 years, and Jonathan enjoys Jonathan's dinner when Jonathan goes to India. And, you know, it seems clunky, it seems uncomfortable to keep using the name over and over again, but it's okay. They prefer it. You're making an effort. And then the last one, biggest challenges are bathrooms, bullying, and access to hormones. So remove barriers wherever you can. There's a gender-neutral or single-stall bathroom, know where it is, and be ready to share local resources. So things you can do. Use the safe space stickers from Glisten or 40 to none, but only if your space is actually safe. Otherwise, stick to your rainbow on your name tag, or just being friendly, smiling, making an extra point to mention, to drop a name, to do whatever it is that makes people comfortable. Get the staff trained. Have an actual contingency plan for getting help if you're going to be a different space. There's hate-free zones and there's safe space. So you can probably offer a hate-free zone where people will not get actively harassed. Safe space is a step beyond that, and that's really clearly explained from the Glisten stuff. So creating an atmosphere of acceptance. Do you have queer displays? Do you have bookmarks? What are you offering? Is it easy to find? Is that something that people can see immediately? Have signs or posters for past or future queer programs that you're doing. So we usually have a Rainbow Family Storytime sign up saying how often Rainbow Family Storytime comes. Even if it has already passed, people see it and know, hey, they do that kind of programming here. That's great. Build partnerships. Do outreach so your library is advertised in places where queer folks are already going. So, for example, going to the local LGBT center and presenting there, or going to the Gender Health Center, or doing outreach at schools where they have a gay-straight alliance. Going there, being visible, being the librarian who's happy to help them so that when they come into your library, they can see you, they recognize you, they know you. Even if they don't talk to you, they know that you're there. The library is a safe space for people who aren't out. To me, this was a big revelation. I was working with the Gay and Lesbian Center, and we were hosting their Q prom, their queer prom that they do every year for their youth. So it's youth age 13 to 23, I believe, which is a really big range. But they do the prom every year. And one of the things that the organizers told me is, well, anyone can go to the library. And it blew my mind. I hadn't thought about it that way. I thought, you know, oh, these queer youth, and it's great, and I love that they're coming in, and whatever else. And we had a drag show, and we had books for them. Not that they wanted to check them out, they wanted to dance, but they couldn't have gone necessarily to the center. They couldn't have gone to a gay space. But anybody's parents will drop them off at the library. So even if they're not out, they can come in here. So specific items you can do: gender-neutral bathrooms, option for a chosen name on a library card. One of the things that comes up is labeling books for easier self-identification. So do you want to put a rainbow sticker on there so kids can find it? Do you not want to put a rainbow sticker on there so it's not identified and kids feel comfortable taking it? I don't know what the answer is for you necessarily, but it is something to consider, and it is an interesting thing. One of the things that we do in Sacramento is we have a teen bookmark that has the numbers, the Dewey Decimal numbers of hot topics, so abortion, sex, drugs, all that sort of thing. That way teens can come in, they can grab that, they can engage with those materials without having to ask, because if you're still trying to figure yourself out, it's a really big thing to ask, and really scary. So we try to make it as accessible as possible and not tag things so that people are uncomfortable taking them out. Okay, Next step, so host queer events repeatedly. A book club is a very easy place to start. I've started at least 4 with our local LGBT center. The challenge is that the staff keeps turning around, so it is hard, and we have to start it up again. But as you can see, all of this stuff is the You Belong at Your Library for National Library Week. Scholastic and ALA have a grant every year, the At Your Library grant. And so in 2012, my colleague, who is a great grant writer, and I got the award for the You Belong at Your Library campaign. So on the left there, you can see the list of programs that we had planned. And then on the right side, you can see some of the posters that we had going. So partner with a community organization on a fundraiser like the Gender Health Center's Drunk Spelling Bee. This was really, really fun. The GHC works a lot with our trans community here, and they, along with Roller Derby, were doing a drunk spelling bee. They were raising money for the Gender Health Center. And of course, they want a librarian to be a judge at a spelling bee. So the words were a little frisky because it was an adult community and it was after some drinking, but it was really fun, and they ended up raising nearly $1,000 in an evening. So things like that, you know, do what you can, volunteer where you can, learn the holidays. June is Pride Month in most locations. October is GLBT History Month. March 31st is Transgender Day of Visibility. October 11th is National Coming Out Day. The GLSEN holds a Day of Silence, which is a student-led national event bringing attention to anti-LGBT name-calling, bullying, and harassment in schools. So kids from middle school to college take a vow of silence in order to encourage schools to address the problems of this kind of behavior by illustrating the silencing effect. There are so many opportunities there, and we all love a chance to celebrate. So the programs that I did, the Rainbow Family Easter Egg Hunt and Story Time was incredible. That is, I still feel, one of my most successful programs, and it seemed like such a bad idea at the time because it was a program that actually happened on Easter Sunday. It was to kick off our National Library Week, and I thought this is probably going to be a spectacular failure. But we marketed it. We hid eggs all over a branch library that was just a beautiful old house that had been converted into a library donated by the family. And we had a story time, and 80 people came. 80 people came on an Easter Sunday to hear stories and celebrate their family. So we had an egg hunt. We did stories. Our library director's husband read Frog and Toad Are Friends with his own personal gay spin on it, and it was just glorious. And it was interesting because one of the people who came was a woman who used to come to our alt library programs, which was for people in their 20s and 30s, and said, you know, we were like, oh, Carrie, we haven't seen you in ages. And she said, I dropped out, we had a baby, my wife and I, and we didn't know where to find other parents. This is so amazing. And she hugged us and cried, and it was just heartbreaking. And marvelous and everything. So it was an opportunity for people to come together and to talk to each other and meet families that hadn't met. And so the Rainbow Family Egg Hunt, or the Rainbow Family Storytime, continued on for about 4 years after that. So we had a total of 87 people. It was included in the special section of the Bee newspaper, which was featuring egg hunts. It was released in a parent's newsletter at a school, so it was shared all over the place. And then, of course, we had a single golden egg that was hidden with where you can find all the answers to all the questions in the library. And, of course, the librarian was holding that, as we do, because we're cute like that. But, yeah, it was a really fun event. The GLBTQIA Community Partner Showcase and Brown Bag Lunch was a failure. Nobody came. We had 3 community partners of the 60 I had contacted throughout Northern California, most of them in Sacramento, but throughout Northern California, which was really disappointing, but we tried. Come Out for Aerobics was one in the series of punk rock aerobics classes that I've been offering in Sacramento, so that was fun. There was a lot of RuPaul in its Right Said Fred, I'm Too Sexy. So it was just a fun aerobics. And we'd done it the year before and partnered with PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, who had come out and shared information about it. So it was for people who weren't necessarily out yet or who had just found out that somebody that they love is identifying as gay or lesbian. But it was an opportunity for people to come together. The It Gets Better video filming ended up being a success because of the hustle of our library director. We are across the street from City Hall, so she went over and kept grabbing people and bringing them over to film these short It Gets Better videos. And this still does live on in the Sac Lib YouTube channel, so if you're interested in seeing it, I definitely shot one, and I think I probably cried in it, but it was interesting to see our community come together. LGBT movie night, we should, but I'm a cheerleader. We had a cheerleader costume contest, Connect Gaming, and we had a lesbian chorus sing. So that was a really fun event, not as big as I would have liked. And then the last one, same-sex speed dating for book lovers, is really challenging. People enjoyed it. We did serve wine at that specific one, and we did 2 more after that, at which we did not serve wine, and I do strongly recommend letting people drink at this event. But same-sex speed dating is really challenging. You have to write an algorithm for it. So we did have one for up to 20 people, and if you are interested in doing a program like this, please do email me because I will send you the algorithm. Heterosexual speed dating means that one gender, men can stay put while the women move around. Same-sex means that everybody has to meet everybody, so it's very challenging to try to make sure that everybody meets up. So for programs, sometimes nobody will come. Do it again. We did an I Am Jazz story time at the center. Nobody came for it. Not everything is going to be successful in your location, but try it again, and try something else. And identify what it is that isn't happening. And use social media. Leverage whatever you have to get attention, to get people out there, and to help them find out about it. I have no idea. Oh, these were the marketing materials that we did. So you can see you have to get out there. Yeah, you have to be present. You have to talk to people. You have to let people know your face. You have to be shameless. So as you can see from all of these pictures of me, I am shameless. I have absolutely no shame when it comes to the library, and I am willing to ask anybody to do anything for me. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so be part of the community, show up at Pride. I've gone to Pride every year since I started here, so for the last 8 years. Get the library into existing events and programs and offer the resources you have to serve their needs. This is something you probably already do if you do outreach. But the trick is, of course, not coming in with an agenda, coming in with support for that organization, saying, how can we help you? What's your biggest challenge right now? Do you know the library has XYZ to help you with that challenge? So offer what you can do for them based on what you have. Don't come to say, we've got great stuff for everybody. Here's what I'm going to tell you about. Be prepared to listen to them and then answer their question, like you do. That's what you do for a living, frankly. Agree to interviews, agree to guest spots, agree to panels. Say yes to things. If you're not comfortable with this, you're going to have to learn. However, that said, please be safe. You don't have to out yourself as queer if it's not safe, or if you're not queer. You can be a proud ally. Just don't pull the, I have a gay friend. Strike up conversations about the collection. Mention the queer book that you just read, or that you have a list of favorites, or that you got to meet this author in the hot tub and tried out to be super creepy. Thanks to Brian Selznick for that. I was, in fact, super creepy. I got to meet him at ALA. A bunch of us in the hot tub from Sacramento Public Library. We were chatting. There was a guy in there with us, and he said, oh, I write books. And I said, oh, like what? And he said that he'd done the Hugo Cabret, and I shot across the hot tub. Like, oh my God, you're Brian Selznick. It's so nice to meet you. But yeah, super creepy. Don't be a creep. So ask for programs. People want to help. Here we have some really fun photos. My wife knows that I'm a fan of Michelle T's writing. So she dared me. She actually dared me, as in, I dare you to do this, to invite Sister Spit, which is a queer spoken word collective started by Michelle T., who you can see pictured on the left there, to come do a program at the library. So I did, and it worked. I nearly spit out my drink when Michelle T. emailed me back to accept. We offered a queer spoken word event on Easter evening. I have no idea why I keep doing programs on Easter. They end up being very popular. We had nearly 60 people come. So who knew that that would be the case? And then, like I mentioned earlier, we worked with the Sac Center to host their Q prom because, as Alicia pointed out, anyone can come to the library. So about 300 kids between 13 and 23 came to dance, snack, have a drag show, and just kind of do ordinary prom things. And like I mentioned, we had a table for library card signups and a selection of books, which kids would come over and peruse and kind of flip through, but we were mostly furniture to them. So the photo here is one of the drag queens at the event with David Levithan's Hold Me Closer, since the gold glitter cover of it went with her outfit, and she did some amazing posing for us, let us use the pictures. And you can see there that she's got some mad contouring going on her chest. It is very impressive because she had a very flat and masculine chest. But this is true for anybody in the community or any type of programming. People love to give to the library. They love to be a part of the library, and I'm sure you've experienced that. Don't offer them money unless they ask first, because they'll probably do it for free. And the more people that you get involved, the harder it is to stop the momentum. One of the best Rainbow Family story times that we did was we had a guest author come in and read her book. It was Gail Pittman, who wrote This Day in June, and it was before she won the Stonewall Award, so it was really exciting for us to be able to offer that and to share it. And a ton of people came, and she signed books, and it was really fun and really exciting. And she's working on another book now for older grades and comes in occasionally. So do a give and take. Do go out and do book clubs at the local Queer Center. Do offer programs if you're asking people to come in and do them for you. So to go through Success, Rainbow Family Storytime, it's an inclusive story time, so it's not specifically queer every time. We do books like Families, Families, Families that has a family with same-sex parents in it, but that's not what the story is about. Come Out from Aerobics was a good one. The Egg Hunt, the Q Prom, and Sister Spit. The meh programs were the speed dating due to the wide range of ages, and then the algorithm challenge, the movie night, and the It Gets Better. And then the fail was the brown bag lunch. I don't know if it was the brain. I don't know if it was not enough contact. I'm not 100% sure. So there's a list of programs that I just talked about, the variety of things. And you've already seen these before on other slides. But, you know, having that breadth of programming to talk about does help. Trying all of these things, like I said, not all of them were successful, but we did them, we tried them, we can tell people about them, and we can kind of move on from there. Don't assume hostility. Give the curious a chance. This is, of course, my darling Lana again, because I do try very hard not to steal images because I'm a librarian and I respect copyright. So Lana's just got a really great and mobile face. I don't know. When I was doing Rainbow Family Storytime at one of the branches that I worked in, a woman came in and she had a fairly conservative appearance. She didn't have children with her, so I was suspicious. She asked about the program and then said she was writing a paper for a music class on songs and finger plays and story time. So I was a little concerned. I put that aside and I let her know she can attend. I'm going to introduce her to the patrons and that she can write about it. So she was going to be known, she was going to be recognized, and people usually behave when they feel they could be identified. And, you know, that's one of the principles of customer service. When somebody walks in, you make eye contact with them, you have conversations with them, you address that sort of thing. So people do feel observed and recognized. So she observed, she sang along, she was a participant, there were no problems there, and she ended up leaving when we had the free playtime afterward. She came back in a few weeks later. She thanked me for allowing her to write about it and shared her A+ paper with me. So that was a really exciting thing. I should have definitely been a little calmer about it, a little less nervous. But yeah, it was good. It ended up being positive. We also had heterosexual couples who came in so that they could introduce their kids to all types of families. So I did learn to look for the positive intent first, And I have been fortunate. I was fortunate enough to always be successful with this. So be respectful of the people who are curious or to those who don't understand. Like I said earlier, admitting you don't know something is very vulnerable. So be prepared with resources or suggestions, or to say you don't know a thing if you don't. You do not always have to be the expert. And that's really hard for us. We do want to be the expert. I always want to be the expert. But one of the things that I have learned is I don't have to be. So be open and not defensive, but keep in mind controversy is publicity. So anytime that you can get some attention is often a good thing. All right, another sip of tea. So nobody will change anything unless you ask. Another niece picture. It's my niece Viviana, who's looking really stressed out. Her sandwich is 3 uneven triangles, and she cannot process how to eat it. So I'm sitting across the table from her. I was like, "What's wrong, kiddo? What do you need?" And she said, "I don't know how to eat the big piece." So easy solution, I cut it in half. There is almost always an easy solution. You just have to know to look for it. So your library doesn't offer any queer programs? Okay, have you suggested any? Consider how you deliver the message. Some people respond really well to, "I have an idea, I think it's great." And other people respond to, "We have a hole in our programming and here's a solution I suggest." These are 2 very different approaches, and one of the things that I've learned about how the management works, at least in our system, is different people need a different approach. It's the same book, it's a different sell. So to say, "I'm very excited about this thing and I'd love to do it," works really, really well for our library director. She is a very forward-thinking person and gets super excited. Other folks in management, I suggested that we needed to change over the bathrooms. I said, "We have this problem and here's my solution for it." So that was much more effective for persuading those people. It's the same idea, it's the same information, it's just how you approach. Ask the management what they're interested in seeing, hearing, and doing. Find out what their buy-in is and how you're going to sell it to them. Ooh, sorry, there's an announcement in the background. That might be on the recording. How fun for you. Ask people in the community what they want to do. Ask people, what programs do you want? Ask them how we can make the library accessible. We are not always the experts there. And then do what they've asked for. So look at the way we've always done it with fresh eyes. Figure out what can be changed, what little bits you can do right here and right now. Try it. Fail fast. Picture of a tiger that my wife took. I just really like tigers. You have a great idea? Maybe don't. But you can find out if you do. So supportive admin is essential. How do you get support? Again, communicate in the style that your supervisor requires. Maybe they need to hear, "Can you help me?" I personally cannot resist, "Can you help me?" Let the admin know that you're not sure of your success. So be open, talk to people about your ideas. The more familiar people are with something, it starts to feel like their own. The more you hear about it, the less foreign it is. So speak to what you've noticed and always have a solution for your concerns, even if it's not the right solution. So I've noticed that we don't have any gay programming. I'd like to offer a Rainbow Family Storytime. What do you think about that? Can you help me plan that? Can you help me promote that? Can you help me see how that would work in our system? And I will tell you, library supervisors will be suckers for it every single time. We can't resist it. Share your outcomes, whether they're good or bad. Let people know what was successful. Speak out, and then getting permission and buy-in sometimes requires letting your supervisor offer their suggestions and implementing at least one. Maybe that's not the way that you envisioned the program. Try it that way anyway. See how it goes. If it's successful, great, you learned something. If it wasn't successful, now you actually have information to work from instead of going the other way around. Put your money where your mouth is. You have to have collection supports. Sometimes that's going to be the only thing that people can have access to. They may not be ready to come to a gay program, but they could take home a book, or better yet, ebooks. So materials give people the space for self-discovery, letting people know they aren't alone. Like I said earlier, the tag or not to tag question, does a rainbow sticker make it easier to find or harder to check out? Santa Cruz Library has an uncatalogued collection that doesn't require checkout. It's like a read and return for teen hop topics. So that is one of the opportunities that you could potentially do. You can see we've got a whole pile of books here. These are just some of the things that we have available in our library system for a variety of ages. None of the above is one of the ones about an intersex teen, and there aren't very many of those out there. At least there weren't. This is growing, and this is a webinar that I did put together probably back in April. So some of these books, there are newer ones, there are better ones, there are other things. Kate Bornstein has quite a few books: My Gender Workbook, Alternatives to Suicide, and a book about growing up or being part of the Church of Scientology, which was really interesting when she was still male identified. So there are tons and tons of books out there. It's what do you have available in your collection. Collection development sometimes leads to staff development. So if you have the books, staff has to shelve them, has to locate them, has to check them out. Again, ask a local gender health center to come in and do a training and make attendance mandatory. Make sure that people have this information in there and make sure that they know about it. So as you can see, we did a library bag campaign, and ebooks don't have covers. So one of the most popular genres for ebooks for us is the queer ebooks, the lesbian, the gay, the erotica, the things where people don't necessarily want to show what they're reading. So it's nice to have that kind of secret there. So resources. We need a cultural confidence. We need to be a presence in the community, and we need to offer community outreach. Be aware of your personal culture, which is how you feel, the prevailing culture, which is how the community feels, and the proposed culture, how you want your audience to feel. So these are my notes from public libraries serve LGBTQ youth. Provide respectful and helpful service. Offer inclusion and affirmation. How do we get cultural confidence? You educate yourself. This webinar does not have all the answers, but it does have my specific experience and collection of knowledge, because there is so much more out there. So screenshot these resources, use the resources, and make this normal, because it is normal. So this is, again, just a starting place of resources and things that you can do. And there are a lot of outcomes that happen from this program, and there are a lot of exciting things that you can do. And like I said, I had worked with about 60 different local partners trying to get people together. We have permanent book lists that live on our website that are book lists of queer information for all ages. We have lesbian, we have gay, we have bisexual, we have transgender, we have intersex, we have queer, and it's picture books, middle grade, teen, and all the way up through adult. So we have absolutely everything that we can. We're trying to get everything out there. I was in Arizona last weekend for the Arizona Library Association conference, and in it I went to a session from their LGBTQ Services Committee. So in Pima County, Tucson, it has existed since 1997. And here in Sacramento, we've never had anything like that. There's just been me hustling, but just me. So that they've had it, and they're about to celebrate their 20th anniversary of that is a really exciting thing. Their local high school has a Queer Youth Summit that they attend every year and share their information. So some reminders to leave you with is we serve everyone. Adding services doesn't take away from anybody else's services. One of the things that they talked about is they have protocols versus policies. So policies are things that have to go to the board, that have to be approved, that whatever else. Protocols are things that we all kind of do, but that aren't necessarily written into code. So that would, for instance, be helping somebody find the bathroom that works for them. There's not necessarily a policy for it, but there is a protocol. You do generally help people use the bathroom that they identify with. make sure that you're having this gender and sexuality training. If it's not mandatory, people may not attend it, but do offer it. Do let people know where the resources are. Find out if there's a Rainbow Chamber of Commerce in your area, and try to figure out what it is you can do to help people get connected with these resources. You don't have to have the answer, but you do have to be able to find the answer. So final page, this is one of the tweets that came through while we were doing our You Belong at Your Library. And as you can see, love working with, supporting a library that stands for such positivity and acceptance. And it's just really thrilling. So there's my email address again. I do work for the Sacramento Public Library. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. And I think we might have questions here that I can't see because it's a tiny, tiny window. So I'm going to see if I can make it bigger. And answer them. Louise, if you have suggestions, let me know.
Yeah, if you can't see those, I can just read them out loud, no problem.
That would be great. Thank you.
All right. Well, I mean, first, I'll just say thank you, Jessica, for the presentation. It's great to hear what you do at your library and have those resources available for us here. So I've got just a handful of questions, and to everyone attending, we have plenty of time left. If you do have questions, go ahead and send those in. So Jessica, the first question was, can you repeat the name of the two books you mentioned early on? I think they were by Jeff Garvin and David Levitan.
Yeah, Symptoms of Being Human and Everyday, and both of those are in the slide with the picture of the covers. But yeah, okay. Symptoms of Being Human was a really, like I said, and a really interesting and hard to wrap your head around book because you never find out what the character's gender is, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. One person was curious why at your library you used GLBT instead of LGBTQIA when in the names of your program.
Because at the time, it was less prevalent. It was, what, 4 years ago now? So I definitely have moved on from there, and I'm trying to use the full. What I believe is being used now is LGBTQ+ generally. But yeah, it was definitely, it's dated. That is entirely my fault.
Okay. What was your most popular program?
That's a good question. The most popular, the longest running has been Rainbow Family Storytime, definitely, and that I think will probably keep going. And I know that they do that at Tucson as well, and they have Storytime in a box that circulates through the system. So I think that's been the most popular. The best attended was definitely the Q Prom because it was about 300 kids, and then the Rainbow Family Egg Hunt that had about 80 people because that was our first big program, and it shocked and thrilled and delighted me, and I'm really gratified that we got to do that sort of thing. But I think the most popular, because it's the longest running, would definitely be the Rainbow Family Storytime, and it's still barely hanging on today. I will say that coming to Central kind of killed it, and I'm trying to figure out how we can bring it back to life and make sure that it continues out in the libraries, because there's a Facebook group that I'm a member of, even though I do not have any children and no plans to, that is a Rainbow Families group, and they are always looking for ways to get together and to be together and have programming that is free and accessible and welcoming.
Okay. Next question is, have you encountered resistance from closed-minded members of the community? And if so, how have you handled it?
So that is definitely a challenge. We have been very lucky here. And I will say that again and again. I have been very fortunate to be mostly supported. And one of the things that I mentioned right at the end is trying to let people know that adding services doesn't take away from what they do. This is something that I learned from Nina Simon at the Santa Cruz Museum of Art and History. I went to a museum camp for a couple of days there on making change, and she brought up a really good point that I hadn't considered before, and I think that comes up a lot in libraries, is having sympathy for the insiders. So, you know, the people who have deep roots, who are very invested in the library, the way that it is right now, no changes, it's perfect, don't take anything away. And of course, we know that the library is always changing. So having sympathy for the people who've been using the library the way that they have been for years, but also manufacturing the voices of the outsiders and adding those services and making it clear that absolutely we're still going to have this thing that you love, or it's important to have this, but we do serve all communities, and we do want to add this extra thing in, and we want to make sure, don't you want people to feel the way that you do about the library? Don't you want everyone to feel that way? But it is challenging, and you do have to have support somewhere. You have to have political support, you have to have management support, you have to be supported somewhere in order to speak from that, and that's not always easy. Anytime that I've had any feedback, you know, I've had people who say, well, why are you offering that? And I say, because it's an important part of our community. Thank you for your feedback. And some people say, you know, well, I think it's appalling. And I say, well, you know, then I suggest you not attend. But I, again, have been very fortunate that it hasn't been a huge amount of pushback for us, and we haven't really had a problem with Sacramento Public Library in that.
Great. The next question is kind of related to that. Do you have any additional tips on dealing with rude or offensive patrons?
It's challenging. Try to approach it, like I said, openly and without hostility. They're coming at you with hostility, and most of that is probably from fear because they don't know what's going on. And so if you can try to kind of get to the bottom of why they're upset and address how it is, you know, what is it that's bothering you about this program, or, you know, what would make you feel more comfortable, or whatever else. And, you know, we work in public libraries. We're not going to be able to please everybody all the time. Well, I don't know that you all work in public libraries. I think you guys are public libraries. But, you know, we do work in libraries. We're not going to be able to please everybody all of the time. And that's something that I encounter a lot. And ultimately, we do have to be comfortable with the thank you for your feedback. At this time, we are going to continue this program because we do want to serve our entire community. And I think that's the only thing we can really fall back on, is we do serve our entire community. If you'd like to see other programs offered, please let me know what else we can do for you. And just make sure that people understand that we're not taking away from them, but we are adding to what our offerings are. There's no easy answer.
That's a great suggestion. And before I share the next question, I'll just share a little bit more about Rails with you. I think most of the people attending today are from public libraries, but I imagine we have a handful maybe from an academic or a school library. But we also, Rails covers a really large geographic area in Illinois. We cover the near Chicago suburbs and those collar counties and into more rural areas. Mm-hmm. And so this next question says, you know, it seems like Sacramento has some resources, and unfortunately here, most of our resources are in Chicago. So mm-hmm. It leaves the suburbs and those outlying areas with very little resources. So do you have any recommendations for areas that have very few LGBTQIA resources available?
I would say look back at the slide that has all the websites. PFLAG and GLSEN and the HRC, generally there's something that's accessible. They have a kit that they can send to you. They have the GSA network is a really good one because it's a chance for gay straight alliances in schools to get together. It's youth who are fighting for that. Collage is children of queer parents. But these are resources that can either be sent to you or they can help you find something in your area. But honestly, you might have to be the educator. You might have to be the one who starts that in your community or who's sharing that or anything else, which is thrilling and scary and all sorts of other things. But you know, there are resources that exist. There are plenty of places to get support, even if they're not local. And it's going to be challenging. I'm sorry for that.
Well, that's great. All right, well, I don't have any other questions, so I think it's okay to finish up early. Thank you so much, Jessica, for your time today and sharing your expertise and those resources. I know it will be helpful to everyone who attended.
Absolutely, Liz. Thank you so much for inviting me and for everyone who attended. And like I said, I do encourage you to email me if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer questions or if anything arises or share resources that I have. Or like I said, the algorithm for same-sex speed dating. It's not easy. I can't emphasize that enough. It is not easy to do speed dating programs, and I will never, ever be somebody who does that professionally.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Jessica. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and thank you, everybody, for attending. I'm going to go ahead and mute my microphone and end the webinar. So have a good day. Bye.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.